Hello, my name is Michael Hagan, and today here at Carrollton Christian Fellowship, our daily Bible reading comes from 1 Kings chapter 6 through chapter 7. And our daily devotional comes from the very beginning of 1 Kings chapter 6. And what we see here is we see that Solomon is now beginning and now starts to build the temple. And so something that we need to remember and something that 1 Kings chapter 5 highlights is that Solomon prepared for a few years before this. And so what we see is when this was built, we see that this was built and started, and the construction started 480 years after the children of Israel had come out of their slavery and bondage there in Egypt. 480 years later. And then we also see that this happened and started in the fourth year of Solomon's reign. So there were things that happened before. There was preparation. There was resources being starting to get kicked into line, different resources and things that David had begun the agreements on. His father before him had already started and had already gotten these things kind of in order. And now Solomon needed to get those things prepared. But also Solomon needed to have his heart prepared. If you remember in our Devo yesterday, we actually looked at and saw how Solomon, right when he came to the throne, shortly after addressing some family situations and dynamics, we see that Solomon started right off by seeking and trying to build his kingdom and build his identity based upon the world. But we see that there were some years, 4 years, that God had to do a work inside of him. God had to give him his knowledge, and Solomon had to grow in the knowledge and understanding of the Lord. And then it was time for him to build and to start the temple. So that's the same thing in our own life. There are times and seasons that we may go through to where we may wonder, why is this taking 4 years, 6 years, maybe even 480 years, it may seem like sometimes. But it's always for a purpose that God has a desire and a design to work in and through our life to prepare our hearts to desire Him, to prepare our hearts not to turn from Him, to prepare our hearts and to build us up in the knowledge and understanding of who He is, so that we can then go out and go forward. So a messenger or an individual who steps out and does the work without knowledge and without understanding, without preparation, is an individual that won't go too far. And so these are some key principles that we see, some key principles that will help us as we go forward in our walk and as we go forward desiring to grow in the things of the Lord. So I hope you have a blessed one today. I hope this was a blessing, and I hope to see you tomorrow. So take care. Have a blessed one.